Team, I've become fed up. So here comes a rant. I personally think, and I don't even think this is the hottest take, the state of the video game review space is kind of garbage. There has been such an Overton shift over the years that it's unrecognizable. And the idea of integrity, honesty, and objectivity, at least the pursuit of it, have taken a back seat to much more vague replacement principles. Oh, everyone's subjective and everyone has an opinion. This is just what I think. You can think something different. All this no sharp corners or edges, padded room bullshit. The quick history lesson is this. For the longest time, IGN, GameSpot, they were the establishment, for decades. And their scores were kind of sacrosanct in a way. They had an internal editorial policy that they held to. People took them seriously. I still remember when Jeff Gersman, who was the chief editor, I think, in GameSpot, it's been a while since I've recounted, but he was willing to go to the mattresses and ultimately got sacked, or at least it started his sacking, when he reviewed Kane and Lynch negatively, because he stuck to his guns and told his entire company to get stuffed, because it turns out they had some sort of publishing, advertising, banner arrangement with the developers of Kane and Lynch. That's what we had. That's what the industry used to be. That the most powerful dude in the entire review department of that company was willing and got sacked for his personal integrity and standards. Now, IGN people laugh at and meme at. They get dislike bombed on every video now because the tide has well and truly started turning, where 7 out of 10 is an absolute meme and a joke. I saw a video from this white-haired bloody Aussie Sheila trying to explain, because she used to review for IGN, how 7 out of 10 should be the status quo. And her entire thing kind of hilariously just sort of consolidated all the problems that we have as consumers, as end users, as the dudes with the money in the pocket that want to know how to make an informed purchase. It's not complicated, but somehow it has been co-opted by bad actors that are much more interested in writing essays and puff pieces, things that are more about their ego. They're more about their ability to turn phrases and wax lyrical, and it just so happens to be over the framework of a game. And they'll close it all out with, well, that's just my opinion. Every opinion is valid. Please don't hate me because you pay my bills. It's also very devoid of like a personal integrity and pride in work product. And you know what? We deserve better, and that's what I'm going to do. And look, there's your quick history lesson on how the legacy used to work, and IGN and all that is still on life support. They've still got people that watch them habitually, but I don't really think they're making a lot of new friends out there. It's mostly people watching IGN because they've watched IGN for 20 years, so they're going to continue to. But then you had the first wave of YouTube reaction reviewers, which are kind of your establishment now. Many of them have gone down the rabbit hole of, again, they're more interested in writing an essay and showcasing their writing skills. And a lot of them very openly try and use that to hopscotch their way into the game industry, whether it's as a writer for a studio or as a voice actor or whatever. I cover games because I love gaming. These days I do sort of software architecture. It's a newer career I've done in recent years, but I'm not really interested in being in the game industry on that side of the fence. I kind of enjoy being on our side of the fence. The one that still stands out, and I think he's only just going to get more powerful over time because he's accidentally ahead of the curve in his more conservative way of reviewing, is ACG. And when I say that, I should say probably more traditional, because people are allergic to words like conservative these days. But he still holds to a scoring system, as it were. It's a bit softer, but he still goes through categories like sound and graphics and all that sort of stuff. These are things that are dead these days, and they shouldn't be, and they should come back, and I'm going to bring them back. And while he's found his own hybrid way through it, the man, again, is pretty set on integrity. What I do and don't know behind the scenes, I'm not necessarily going to go into, But it's pretty clear that in the sake of protecting his own position, integrity, that's the word of the video I like using, he doesn't necessarily play super nice with everyone. And he even has policies such as, if I get a review key from a developer, I buy one for my audience, right? This is a sentiment that people appreciate. Anyway, look, this isn't necessarily a suck up to ACG contest, but he, to me, stands apart from all the other reviewers as someone who's at least striving to hold himself to an objective editorial policy. And the real problem is actually a lot deeper. I won't go into it too much, but I'll say this much. It gets into what I think is the blurring and deconstruction of a lot of moral positions of modern everything. Things like the greater good. I despise the greater good because the greater good creates a hypothetical scenario where you can justifiably put a baby into a microwave to save 1 billion people, right? It's used to deconstruct other systems on a meta level. I'm not trying to give you a moralistic lecture, but it should be Morals 101. You should have a rigid system that you live by and you die by. That's how morals work. That's how systems work. That's how rigid structures should work, such as logos, such as, say it with me, integrity. And you have this blurring these days where the sort of talking head point is all opinion is subjective. Humans are subjective. What I think is different from what you think. To the point where you can see people in video. Now, I'm not necessarily taking shots at Skill Up, but have a look at his Dawnguard, Veilguard, his Dragon Age video. Have a look at the intro to that. He spends like minutes buttering up his audience, preloading it. Not quite poisoning the well, but you get the idea. He has to create a prologue lead-in to soften his audience up to say, hey, this is just my opinion, you're going to have a different opinion, whatever. No! What are you doing? Hold to yourself. Hold yourself to account. Make your statements, back your statements, and weather the storm that you created. And so, yes, you're right. Much like the greater good. Through the greater good, you can justify any sort of horrible action and deconstruct someone's morals. Sure, everyone's subjective is the same argument, and through that, people become defeatist and stop pursuing objective standard. And that's the thing everyone misses, and it becomes dismissive because of it. You should have your own internal system, a score system, if you will. It should be your editorial policy to adhere to it. And if it's wrong or if it needs adjustment, you tweak it and fix it. And you be as objective as you can within your framework. This creates consistency and it creates a measurable scale for someone outside the framework, like you, my audience. So if I tell you this game is 75 out of 100, you can look at my video, my systems, you can at least understand how I got there. And you can say, I don't agree. Subjectively, I don't. Well, fine. But I've still built a platform of evidence-based datum, statements, all of that sort of stuff, and it's all based on an internally consistent system. That lends to integrity. That protects against things like overly, heavily opinionated pieces swaying what is something that is objectively good. Because if my system starts to buckle under that, people will call me on it. This video's going on long enough, but this is me saying I'm throwing my hat into the ring. It's going to be something like a 100-point scale. I'll do a video dedicated to that, but I wanted to sort of draw battle lines and put this down. People deserve better reviewers than what they've got at the moment. What they currently have are first-year writing students co-oping the space that are more interested in some sort of clever essay, structured, written down, maybe with some sort of clever theme through it, maybe a twist at the end that ties it back on. I don't give a shit about that. What I want, and what a lot of you want, is a lab report. What you want is product documentation. I should be going, this game is good because of this. These graphics aren't great because of this. Statement, example. In a way, kind of cold. A tool to be used. And look, I'll close out with this because I don't know where else to put it and I know I skipped over it. One of the things that really got me off the bench on this was the Avowed press coverage recently. Now, I get invited to preview events, I get offered sponsorships, I don't talk about any of this sort of stuff, and I reject it all because, personally, my internal code for integrity doesn't stand for any of that. I cannot believe how there are people that will say, this is a review for a game, and in the same video will take a sponsorship for a video game. That is the most unprofessional, lacking of integrity maneuver I've ever seen. But the Overton window has shifted in such a way that people have turned sympathy for the little YouTuber that could, get that bag, man. We all know you don't really like bloody Clash of Clans or whatever, but you got to get paid, son. No, that undermines your entire brand. This will come to get you one day. I can't believe people are so short-sighted. You're trying to build a channel and a legacy. If you want to take bloody shaving product sponsorships that have nothing to do with your expertise, fill your boots. But I just find it so rich that someone can say, this is my honesty, this is my honest and legit recommendation on a game, but also go buy Candy Crush coins. Unbelievable. Anyway, Avowed recently had preview coverage. It would seem something was leaked, which is funny, but we won't get into that too much. But it turns out that there's pronouns in the game. Now, I'm not even going to get into the pronoun discourse because you don't get dragged in the mud and fight over something when you already have a position on it. I don't want to engage with it. That sort of shit shouldn't be in games. It really shouldn't. Whether you believe in it or not or whatever, it is inappropriate to push a sort of modern agenda from the top down on a sort of meta layer into a product. And that's all I need to say on it because everyone knows that. Even the people that are on team pronoun. They know this. However, it's pretty clear that the NDA, from what we've heard, said they can't show the character creator screen in Avowed. Now, I've seen my share of NDAs. I'm pretty certain that it didn't say something as explicit as we don't want you to show that there are pronouns in this game because we know that that's going to actually upset a significant chunk of our purchasing base. It's not going to say that, but you can read between the lines. They pick who does the preview events. They know who the safe bets are, who are, on one, perhaps sympathetic to the position of pushing pronouns, or two, have the good common sense and self-preservation, if you want to even call it good, to recognize and put one and one together. I know why they don't want this character creation screen out. Everyone knows. It's because this whole thing is a targeted puff piece to use established platforms to raise awareness around this game, to push pre-orders and interest going into it. Try and ship enough copies and get enough of a sort of purchasing FOMO snowball going that even the people that are on the fence fringe like, oh, I don't really like pronouns, but if the game's good and all my mates are playing it, then I'm going to buy it anyway. Like, we all know that's what's going on, and so do the guys previewing it. And I find it immensely disingenuous to do that. To sell your soul even. None of these guys are paid. They're just buttering up their behind-the-scenes special access and handshake agreements for a preview build ahead of time. For what? Some more updates to grow your channel a little bit? You're going to sell your soul so easily? And the thing is, I think a lot of these people just need to be grabbed by the shoulders and shook. I don't really actually think a lot of them are doing this kind of evilly and maliciously. I just think that the Overton window has shifted with them inside it, and they don't even realize that what they're doing is actually incredibly corrupt, or at the very least, destroys the integrity of their entire brand, their self. And I'm sure you can see it projected out a few more years. How are they not the next IGN 7 out of 10? If it can happen to established media built upon millions of advertising dollars, it can absolutely happen to all of these main YouTube channels. It will happen if they keep on this course. So anyway, look, it's a rant. I apologize, but that's where I'm at. I'm going to start taking it seriously, at least within a serious system, scoring, etc., right? There will be channel changes coming. Am I shooting myself in the foot? Is this a good way to destroy my channel? Maybe, but that's not a good enough reason for me not to try and course correct, and at least for my part, be a voice in the industry that can be trusted, even if you disagree with me, to be consistent and beholden to none but myself. Anyway, let's finish it up there, team. Might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.